What if just one coordinated strike could overwhelm the world's most advanced defense systems in under 10 minutes? Imagine 900 missiles launched almost at once, targeting a single, powerful naval force. Sounds unbelievable, right? But military experts have warned for years about something called saturation warfare, where sheer numbers can break even the strongest shield. The real question is, are modern defenses truly prepared for that kind of pressure? Now, picture this: a massive aircraft carrier carrying thousands of personnel, suddenly facing more threats than it can physically stop. Systems are active, radars are scanning, interceptors are firing, yet the sky keeps filling. This isn't just about firepower, it's about timing, strategy, and exploiting hidden weaknesses that most people never even think about. In today's video, we're diving deep into a shocking what-if scenario that experts quietly study behind closed doors. We'll break down the 10 powerful reasons why something like this could happen, and more importantly, what it means for the future of global power. Stay with us, because this gets intense. What happens when too many threats arrive at the same time? This is where one of the most powerful ideas in modern warfare comes into play: saturation attack. No matter how advanced a defense system is, it always has a limit. Radars can track only a certain number of targets at once, and interceptors can only be launched so quickly. When hundreds of missiles are incoming together, the system isn't just challenged, it becomes overloaded. And once that limit is crossed, even the best technology in the world starts to struggle. Military analysts and defense studies have repeatedly shown that quantity can sometimes defeat quality. It's not about one perfect missile getting through, it's about sending so many at once that some are guaranteed to slip past defenses. Imagine trying to stop a single ball thrown at you. Easy. Now imagine stopping hundreds at once coming from different directions. That's exactly how saturation works. It forces defenders into a situation where they must choose what to stop and what they simply can't. So what does this mean in real terms? It means modern warfare is no longer just about having the most advanced systems. It's about how those systems handle pressure at scale. For viewers, the takeaway is simple but powerful. No defense is truly impenetrable. If enough pressure is applied at once, cracks begin to form, and in a real-world scenario, those cracks can quickly turn into critical vulnerabilities that change everything. What if the biggest threat isn't the newest technology, but the one everyone stopped paying attention to? And that's exactly where the danger begins. Weapons like the Shahab-3 missile are often labeled as old or outdated, but that label can be dangerously misleading. Over the years, many countries don't just replace weapons, they quietly upgrade them, improving accuracy, speed, and reliability step by step. And because these upgrades happen slowly and consistently, they often go underestimated by the world. Military research shows that continuous improvement over time can turn a basic system into something far more effective than expected. Guidance systems get sharper, launch times get faster, and targeting becomes more precise. What once had a large margin of error can now hit much closer to its intended target. This means an old missile today is not the same missile it was 20 years ago. It's a refined version, tested, improved, and adapted for modern warfare conditions. For viewers, the key takeaway is powerful. Never underestimate familiar technology. Sometimes the most dangerous systems are the ones that have been quietly perfected over decades, not the flashy new ones everyone is watching. In a high-pressure scenario, these upgraded weapons can play a critical role, especially when used in large numbers. And when combined with strategies like saturation, they don't just become relevant, they become game-changing tools that can shift the balance in ways no one expects. What if there is no such thing as hidden anymore? In today's world, one of the biggest shifts in warfare is not just weapons, it's information. Modern battlefields are constantly being watched by satellites, drones, and tracking systems that can monitor movement in real time. Large naval assets, especially something as massive as an aircraft carrier, are incredibly difficult to conceal. Their size, heat signature, and operational patterns make them visible targets long before any attack even begins. Over the years, studies in military intelligence have shown that tracking capabilities have become more advanced than ever before. Commercial satellites, open-source intelligence, and digital monitoring systems allow even non-superpowers to gather detailed information about positions and movements. This means that a target's location can be known with surprising accuracy, sometimes days in advance. When attackers already know where to aim, the entire equation changes. Mine is no longer about searching, it's about executing a plan with precision. For viewers, the takeaway is clear and a bit unsettling. Modern warfare is as much about data as it is about firepower. If your position is known, your vulnerability increases, no matter how strong your defenses are. In high-stakes scenarios, being visible can be just as dangerous as being weak. And when accurate tracking combines with strategies like saturation, it creates a situation where the attacker isn't guessing anymore. They're targeting with intent, timing, and confidence. And that's where things become truly critical. What if even the most advanced defense systems simply can't keep up? That's a reality many people don't realize. Systems like missile defense shields may look unstoppable, but behind the scenes, they operate with very real physical limits. Radars can only track a certain number of incoming threats at one time. Computers can only process so much data, and interceptors can only be launched at a certain speed. When too many threats appear at once, the system doesn't fail instantly. It begins to slow down, prioritize, and eventually get overwhelmed. Military research has highlighted this issue for years. Defense systems are designed based on expected threat levels, not extreme scenarios where hundreds of missiles arrive almost simultaneously. Each incoming target requires tracking, calculation, and interception, and that takes time. When dozens turn into hundreds, the system is forced to make split-second decisions about which threats to engage first. And here's the critical part. Not every missile can be stopped simply because there isn't enough time or resources to deal with all of them. For viewers, the takeaway is powerful and eye-opening. No defense system is unlimited. Even the strongest shield has a breaking point when pressure becomes too intense. It's like trying to answer hundreds of questions at once. Eventually, something gets missed. In a real-world scenario, those missed threats can become decisive moments that change everything. And when attackers understand these limits, they don't just rely on power. They design their strategy to push systems beyond their capacity, turning strength into vulnerability. What if the biggest danger isn't the attack itself, but where you choose to be before it even happens? In military strategy, positioning is everything. Even the strongest force can become vulnerable if it's placed in the wrong location at the wrong time. Certain regions are naturally more dangerous, closer to potential threats, within range of enemy systems, or exposed without enough support. When a high-value asset operates in such an environment and it's already taking a calculated risk, whether people realize it or not, experts often emphasize that geography shapes outcomes in warfare. Distance, timing, and reaction windows all depend on where you are positioned. If a target is too close to a threat zone, the time to respond becomes extremely short. That means fewer seconds to detect, analyze, and intercept incoming dangers. In some cases, even advanced systems don't get enough time to fully activate before the situation escalates. This is why strategic planners spend years studying safe distances and operational zones, because once something is out of position, correcting it in real time becomes incredibly difficult. For viewers, the lesson is simple but powerful. Being strong doesn't mean being safe. Sometimes the difference between control and crisis comes down to a single decision about where to operate. If that decision is off even slightly, it can create openings that opponents are ready to exploit. And in high-stakes scenarios, those openings don't stay small for long. They quickly turn into major vulnerabilities that can shift the entire outcome before anyone fully understands what's happening. What if winning a battle isn't just about power, but about money? One of the most overlooked realities in modern warfare is the idea of cost imbalance. On one side, you have advanced defense systems that rely on highly sophisticated interceptors, each one costing millions of dollars. On the other side, you have offensive weapons that can be produced at a fraction of that cost. This creates a dangerous equation where defending against an attack can become far more expensive than launching it in the first place. Military experts often highlight this as a growing concern. When a large number of missiles are launched, defenders are forced to respond with equally advanced interceptors. But here's the catch. Every interception attempt drains resources quickly. If hundreds of threats are incoming, the defending side may either run out of interceptors or face a situation where continuing to defend becomes economically unsustainable. Over time, this imbalance can pressure even the strongest military forces because they are spending far more to stop attacks than the attacker is spending to launch them. For viewers, the takeaway is eye-opening. War is not just about strength. It's about sustainability. If one side can maintain pressure at a lower cost, they gain a long-term advantage, even without superior technology. This means strategies are no longer just designed to destroy targets, but to drain resources and create financial pressure. And when cost becomes a weapon, the battlefield extends far beyond missiles and defenses. It turns into a test of endurance, strategy, and economic resilience that can decide the outcome over time. What if the real impact of an attack isn't the damage, but the fear it creates? In modern conflicts, one of the most powerful tools is not just physical destruction, but psychological warfare. A large-scale strike, especially one that shocks the world, sends a message far beyond the battlefield. It creates uncertainty, panic, and doubt, not just among military forces, but among governments, allies, and even the public watching from afar. Studies in military psychology show that perception often shapes reality. When people see a powerful system being challenged or overwhelmed, it can quickly change how they think about strength and security. Confidence drops, fear rises, and decision-making becomes more reactive. This is exactly what attackers aim for, not just to hit a target, but to shake belief in the system itself. Once that belief is weakened, even a strong defense can start to feel fragile, and that perception alone can influence global reactions. For viewers, the takeaway is powerful. Fear can spread faster than any missile. A single dramatic event can reshape how nations think, how alliances behave, and how future conflicts are approached. It's not always about how much damage is done. It's about how it makes the world feel. And when fear and uncertainty take over, they can create ripple effects that go far beyond the original event, turning one moment into a global shift in confidence, power, and perception. What if one single event could shake how the entire world sees power? In global politics, strength is not just measured by weapons, it's measured by confidence and perception. For decades, certain nations have been viewed as nearly untouchable because of their military dominance. But if a scenario like this were to unfold, it could force countries around the world to rethink what power really looks like. And once that perception starts to shift, the effects can spread very quickly. Experts in international relations often explain that global stability depends heavily on belief in deterrence, the idea that strong nations can prevent attacks simply because of their reputation. But when that reputation is challenged, even once, it can create doubt. Allies may begin to question their security guarantees, while rivals may feel more confident to testing limits. This doesn't mean power disappears overnight, but it does mean the balance starts to move, even if slowly at first. For viewers, the key takeaway is simple but powerful. Perception can reshape reality on a global scale. When confidence in a system weakens, it creates space for new players, new strategies, and new risks. One event can trigger a chain reaction where countries adjust their policies, strengthen their defenses, or even change alliances. And that's how a single moment doesn't not stay a moment. It becomes a turning point that influences the future of global power in ways most people never see coming. What if everything we're seeing today has already happened before, just in a different form? One of the biggest mistakes in strategy is believing that modern technology has completely changed the rules of war. In reality, history shows us a different pattern. Overconfidence often leads to vulnerability. Time and time again, powerful forces have underestimated their opponents, believing their systems were too advanced to fail, until they did. Military historians often point to moments where unexpected tactics changed everything. From surprise attacks to overwhelming force strategies, the lesson is always the same. No system is perfect, and no advantage lasts forever. When defenders rely too much on their strength without adapting to new threats, they create blind spots, and those blind spots are exactly what attackers look for. It's not always about being stronger. Sometimes it's about being smarter, faster, and more prepared for the unexpected. For viewers, the takeaway is clear. History doesn't repeat exactly, but it echoes loudly. The same patterns of miscalculation, surprise, and rapid change continue to appear, just in new forms. Ignoring those lessons can lead to the same outcomes, no matter how advanced the technology becomes. And in high-stakes situations, even a small misjudgment can turn into a major turning point that reshapes everything in a matter of moments. Understanding history isn't just about the past, it's about seeing the warning signs before it's too late. What if the way wars are fought is changing faster than anyone expected? The battlefield today is no longer just about tanks, ships, and fighter jets. It's shifting toward a world dominated by missiles, drones, cyber attacks, and AI-driven systems. This means traditional military strength, while still important, is no longer the only factor that decides outcomes. Instead, the future belongs to those who can combine speed, volume, intelligence, and adaptability into one powerful strategy. Experts in defense and technology are already warning that future conflicts will rely heavily on automation and coordination. Swarms of drones, waves of missiles, and digital attacks happening at the same time can create overwhelming pressure on even the most advanced systems. The key idea here is not just power, but synchronization, launching multiple types of attacks together to confuse and overload defenses. In this kind of environment, reaction time becomes critical, and even a small delay can lead to major consequences. For viewers, the takeaway is both fascinating and concerning. The rules of warfare are evolving right in front of us. What once seemed impossible is now being tested and studied across the world. This means future conflicts may look very different from what we've seen before. Faster, more complex, and far less predictable. And as technology continues to advance, the gap between offense and defense may keep shifting, creating new challenges that no one fully understands yet. The future of warfare isn't just coming, it's already taking shape in ways that could redefine power forever.